Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to our August Town Council meeting. Thank you for those of you joining us in council chambers, as well those that have tuned into our YouTube video this evening. So we will move right into our agenda, and first up is our agenda adoption. Is there a motion on the floor to adopt the agenda this evening as presented?
Motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you so much. At this time, we will have Councilman Thevenin lead us in our invocation this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's pray together. Father, we thank you for this day, another opportunity to be in this great town. And Lord, we thank you for the many blessings that you pour out on us here. And God, just ask that you be with us, council, tonight as we go about the town's business. And as always, we pray for civility, respect amongst our group, and for those that are in the audience as well, God. So we thank you for their attendance, and just ask that you give us another great evening this evening. We pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have several exciting special presentations this evening, and first up we have our Parks Director Jim Spina, and he is going to present some of the recommended enhancements to Farm Mill Park. Welcome, Jim.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to talk to you about something that's very exciting that I think that we can bring to Harrisburg, a couple of activities that we don't currently have to one of our parks out at Farm Mill. So currently, Farm Mill Park features walking trails with a boardwalk, a large rentable shelter, some smaller shelters along our trails, a pond, 2 sand volleyball courts, playground, and a good chunk of open space. Here's some of the pictures and some of the features we have. You can see, the trails, the playground that we have there. That playground there is currently around 15 to 16 years old, and still, we're told from some of our vendors, it's in pretty good shape. It's been well taken care of, so that's a good thing. I see a couple of shelters there, a big, large rentable shelter that we host parties and different things, birthday parties, kids groups. Sand volleyball pit, sand volleyball court, one of the ones that we have, as well as our pond. And with a large amount of open space available at Farm Mill Park, it begs the question, how can we use it to enhance our community, improve our visitor experience, and tie it into our vision, mission, and goals? And a goal, or a vision that we really love to hang our hat on at Parks and Rec is that Harrisburg will be a distinctive family-focused community where memories are made. We use that quite a bit on some of our posts and things of that nature. So with that, we thought of what a couple of opportunities we could have out at Farm Mill that would really benefit our community. So there's 2 separate ones. We'll get into them individually here in a minute. But the first one would, opportunity number 1 would provide a designated space, and I use the word designated for a reason, for a trending activity for all ages that currently doesn't exist here in Harrisburg. And then opportunity number 2 is to provide a unique play opportunity for our younger citizens. So what's that first one? Well, it's pickleball. Currently, we do offer pickleball here in town, but not on a designated surface. We share that with our tennis facility over at Stallings Park. We have lined that for pickleball opportunities, but what does that create? Well, it creates a lot of little headbutting between the tennis people and the pickleballers, because it's well known in the trend of pickleball that pickleball will take over a court. They'll take over a community. So there's quite a bit of, back and forth. We've actually had to consider going to odd even days a little bit, those kind of things, designated hours. We've always seemed to get through it, so we haven't had to go there. But we need a designated pickleball opportunity for our folks. So what does that look like? Well, up to maybe 4 courts, if we can do it. If we had 4 courts, it'd be a size of about 60 feet by 108 feet. What we're looking at now, as far as getting some information, doesn't mean we would use this surface, but would be concrete base with a rubber surface. We would have court dividing fences in there so we can keep the balls in the individual courts so it doesn't become a safety hazard and cause problems between games. All the netting we need, and of course, we'd love to add lights to that so that we can take advantage of extending play, especially in the wintertime. We get some great weather in the winter for outdoor racket sports. To have lights on that would really be a huge benefit. Number 2, a natural playground structure. And what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a company we're talking to right now called Beanstalk Builders. They do playgrounds and tree houses, and they do a little bit of both. They can mix them, they can do all kinds of things. And basically their motto is, if you can dream it, we can build it. And so what is it? What is it specifically? Well, it's made out of natural materials, wood and those kind of things. You know, whereas most of the current modern playgrounds are steel and plastic. This would be made out of wood, natural substances. They specialize in outdoor adventure. It's not just play, it's adventure. They have an appreciation of the environment. They love to use the natural objects and resources available around them. Trees, rocks, whatever else that naturally is there. It doesn't have to be removed, it can be used. So it's not your typical playground. And some examples of some of the things they do, well, let me go back to this. Here's one of them if you look back. It's built right into inside of a copse of trees, like kind of in a little glade. And that's one of the things that they can do. The other ones is you can see like a lot of logs, a lot of walkers. The middle one here, you're looking at a climber, all made of wood and up to like a little tower. And then with like bridges and different things like ropes. And then over here, they also do it with shade coverage, with shade systems over the top of, again, you see some nets, all natural materials. And so what are we looking at? Where would we place this if we could get this project going? Well, the first part would be, here's our current playground. With a little overhead shot of that. And then here's our current sand volleyball. This is one of them. The other sand volleyball pit, court, I keep saying pit. Court is over next to the rentable shelter. So we would always at least have that one available if that ever gets to trending again, outdoor sand volleyball. The parking lot would be here at the bottom of your screen, okay? So we would want to put our natural playground, where'd it go, James? There it is. Right in this side of this kind of yellow arc. Not specifically the entire place, but that would be where we would aim for it. And the idea would be to transition from our current playground with some kind of, whether it be bridges or nets or climbers or whatever, into this little glade of copse of trees in this glade and use those trees. What's the benefit of that? Well, some natural shade. It's much cooler inside those tree areas in the summer. It'd be a really good opportunity for our, like I said, our younger people. And then up here in the, with a blue rectangle would be where we would put our pickleball opportunity. We would eliminate this sand volleyball court and kind of build that somewhere up in here. And just to give you a better visual, here's the back side, the bottom side going down the hill from our playground. So the playground would work from the edge of here down into this group of trees, this copse of trees. And we would use that all for the playground. And then as far as pickleball, we would use, this would be about standing more or less in the middle of one of the courts, looking down towards the trail down here. And again, somewhere right in here. And so the important part that begs the question is, why this project? Why now, and where are we? Well, first, obviously Farm Mill has a great potential to offer those new opportunities. They have the space. Secondly, why now? Well, based on the council-driven direction to get some quick adds to parks. It's a really good opportunity for us to get in there, get something that really impact the community quickly, all ages, a designated spot for pickleball, which we don't have. So then again, where are we? Well, we're still finalizing design details and final location and renderings. And with that, you know, we're looking at an estimated timeline for the project would be to finalize the design and secure cost estimates within the next month, sometime in September, and bring it back to council for further discussion. And with that, I leave it up to you for any questions that you may have. Be glad to answer them.
Jim, is this a either or are we looking at both?
No, we would love to do both. I think it fits both. The playground is getting older. We're gonna have to do something with it. This may help us extend it because it will a little less use, it'll spread out the use. And we need the pickleball. We need it pretty badly. You know, and as I see forward, as we build parks or whatever we do in the future, I think we're going to add more pickleball, even more than this at some point. But again, that depends on priorities and where we fit and some of the different things we do. This gives us an opportunity right now to get a pickleball facility up and running, you know, within 6 months, a year, 3 months, whatever the timeline begins based on what you folks.
I mean, my concern with the pickleball is that park is very passive. You know, and sorry, pickleball's not passive.
No, it's not.
It seems like it would just stand out. The children's playground really blends in and would look good in that area.
Yeah.
But then the concern I have there is that netting, you know, how much repair and maintenance will we have to that?
Yeah, in talking, I've spoken with, and there's other builders, but I've spoken with Beanstalk Builders quite a bit. They've got quite a few of these in the area. And they said the maintenance on it isn't what you think. One of my concerns ahead of time, in my past, we had a couple of those old wooden creative playgrounds that were all the rage back 20, 30 years ago. And they were ridiculous. They had to be painted and stained all the time. This is so natural that you would have some maintenance. The netting you probably have to replace as the sun makes it brittle and stuff, and you have to do it. But, you know, we have some of that natural netting at the splash pad, and we still haven't replaced it. It's probably coming up on 4 or 5 years. We might have to, but. So I feel comfortable with the maintenance on that. To speak to your other pickleball thing, the other reason pickleball might be nice out there, and it is passive, and it's come up about the passive park, is that it can be loud a little bit, you know, and so it's quite a ways away from homes, you know, so you wouldn't have that somebody's backyard constantly bang, bang, bang. So,
I mean, my last comment on that is, I know Councilman Patrick's been looking for a water feature in that area forever. And I know you probably can't put a boat launch there, but is there a way to get closer to the water in that park other than where we're at today?
well, I'll speak to that in a couple ways. One, I'm not sure, it hasn't really looked that way. But I know that we're going to bring to you soon, you know.
Yeah, so I mean, Jim's trying to answer this without answering it, but we've had very in-depth discussions about water access in that area. And yeah, we think that's definitely a possibility and probably a likelihood. We've identified it at Old Farm Mill.
Yeah.
So if you're going to launch from there, a natural ending point would be at our other park just downstream and be able to create potentially the second Blue Way in the county where you could actually have this path that you can kayak and canoe and go out. And that's a very clean section of the river. It's beautiful if you've been down it. It's very rocky. So yeah, I think there are options there. We don't have anything prepared to bring to you at this point, but that's certainly on our list and in the Parks Master Plan as well as opportunities as we move forward.
Thank you.
Couple of I don't understand the parking over there. Parking okay?
Yeah, parking's,
We have
we got about.
66 spots.
Yes, I would say about 70 spots. And, you know, the park it rarely fills up like that in its current state. Even with the playground. And playground out there can get busy. You get a lot of people sometimes that want to go out there because it's not so crazy at the anthill on Harrisburg Park.
No.
So we've not seen a parking problem. I don't expect a too big of a parking problem, at least initially,
Okay.
you know, at this point.
Where is, I know you're not settled on a builder, where is Beanstalk? Where are they?
They're located out of
Morganton.
Morganton or
Morganton.
Lincoln? Morganton?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yep.
semi-local.
Yep.
To sort of build on what Councilman Smith said, if we got, you can do both, and if Beanstalk is the guys or whatever, and here's a phase 2, you might want to come back next year, we'll get you down to the water next year, we can't get you there this year, and it'll all be thematic, and we thought that through, and this is phase 1, phase 2, to sort of build on it, because I got a feeling they love a blank canvas and say, let me come look at what you got, and I can give you all kinds of possibilities. It would be nice to see art of the possible, even if we didn't say yes, like, you could go nuts in here and do all kinds of stuff, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. They did send me some previous jobs they've done with different renderings. They literally are, if you can dream it, they'll build it. So it's a really good opportunity.
Jim, are there any close by that we could see?
Yeah, Brian, help me out.
And, I mean, if you could just maybe send that
Yes.
to us. If
There's
if-
one in Catawba County. There's one at Charlotte YMCA has one, so I'll put a list for
Okay,
sure.
that'd be great.
Yep. I think there's maybe half a dozen within our ride.
So I assume, because I don't remember seeing this would be a kind of budget amendment, because I know it was a kind of directive to find some things to do quick, but this
Yeah,
wasn't
so we kind of have
budgeted.
two funding sources. We've talked about one of them in the budget process, which is we have this designated park money set aside for enhancements and/or land acquisition, whichever comes first, and we can replenish it as you go. And then we have project savings that we expect from last year's budget that we can either just put into the capital reserve for another time, or we can reappropriate that. Obviously, this isn't anything that we're going to ask above and beyond our model. This is all, model neutral. But we don't have full costs on this either, and I think that's something important too. Some of the feedback that we've gotten is, hey, look, see what we can do that doesn't take 3 years of planning to get done. Also, we want to be involved a little earlier in the process, and we want to have a little bit more collaborative approach on these rather than just getting dozens of them in that condensed budget season where you only have so many times and they're all kind of pitted against each other. So, our goal on this was say, okay, let's come back with a base level of idea of what we're looking at here. What are our needs? Pickleball's a huge need. Also, how do we tie in a passive park with some activity into it? Well, these integrated treehouse type playgrounds and swings and bridges work really well out there. I think it'd be a beautiful addition to it, and the money would just come from one of those two pots. And it could be one of these things. It could just be pickleball. It could just be the playground. It could be both. It could be more. It's really up to us to say, okay, how far do you want to go on something like this? You could spend a couple $100,000. You could unlimited, up to whatever we have in our capital reserve funds to enhance the parks. And also, how quickly could we do it? I mean, this could be months and really hit it hard, or we could kick this all the way to the budget process and go through those iterations that we want to do. But we wanted to bring that and start giving more options to the town council on these projects, kind of sprinkled in throughout the year rather than one big group of project all at once.
So I assume this is just kind of to get initial feedback?
Yeah. It was,
Yep.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, that's literally what, we're just initial feedback. We don't have any contracts, we don't have any proposals. Just want to get it in front of everybody, get it in your minds. If you have feedback, we'll take it now, and we'll use that as we kind of move through the process to get costs and understand scope. If we'd have come in tonight and it's like, under no circumstance are we considering pickleball out there. Okay, well, we're not going to waste our time designing things and getting prices and all of that. But, really just an opportunity to have a discussion.
When-
Excuse me, Chris, and one other thing about the passive park and pickleball, with 4 courts, if we did 4, we could do 2.
Yeah.
There's other options, but the most you'd have is 16 people. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it'd be an activity that's not part of that passive field, but it's not like you're putting a pickleball complex out there where there'd be, 40, 50 people playing at once.
I personally, not to spoiler alert, I love this. I just want to see a budget narrative come back to say, oh, because you spent 200 on pickleball, you no longer have $1 million to spend on land. I'd hate to see that. So as long as it all ties together, is thoughtful, we're not making an either or decision, and we can still keep it moving forward. I do like the momentum, because I was at Frank Lewis Park the other day, and it was pickleball wall to wall, and it was, everybody was there. So there's a need for it. And I also think you want to appeal to, we have 2 parts of our community. I'm probably not going to get on the monkey bars, but I might go out there and play pickleball.
But, the interesting part about pickleball is it originally trended about 15 years ago for the older group, right? They were coming to community centers, playing at community centers, and it sprang to where they really jumped on it. Now it's all ages. It really is. And so, but the seniors, it's really important for them. It's really good exercise, and they've stuck with it. I believe it's I think outside of walking, it's the number 2 senior activity over 60, so.
Well, and they're opening up those pickleball complexes and sporting play. There's one in Charlotte now that's booked.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a big thing for all ages. I do like that.
Have restaurants themed with it.
Yeah.
I've still yet to play pickleball. I don't know if you guys all have, but I'm still haven't.
So, I guess, a couple of things on the pickleball. That first image you showed did have some shade along the benches.
But, yeah, this is just.
That one on the right?
Here's what I should have done this first time at the end, I'm glad. What we would look at is this one back here, but also
Yeah.
this one in front. This is just cut off on the picture. This is the picture I got from one of our initial vendors interested.
Yeah.
So it'd be a 4, kind of back to back like this. And we will include some shade structures,
Yeah.
for sure. With benches, the works. That will be part of the process.
But the park closes at sunset, does it not?
Yeah, that would create, it closes at sunset now because there's really nothing
To do.
to do. We would adjust, that would be an adjustment in the park hours if we were to put pickleball.
So you
there.
would allow people in the pickleball courts after hours?
Right. Well, within hours, whatever the change
Within hours, whatever the hours are. I'm curious what a future use for those pickleball courts would be. I realize it's trending, and people are converting tennis courts. I think it's fair to say that tennis is here to stay. I'm not convinced about pickleball.
Yeah.
And can they be converted back to a tennis court when everybody gets bored with it, right?
Yeah, and I believe that you remove the middle piece.
Four picklballs is a tennis court or 2 tennis courts
Correct.
or whatever it is.
Yes, you could do junior-sized tennis courts too for kids. You could do one.
Yeah.
Over at Stallings, we have 2 full tennis courts and 1 junior. So you can do that.
I would say just think about that because we're talking about sticking it over a beach volleyball because it's no longer as fashionable as it used to be. So let's think about long-range planning. On that beach volleyball court, I know you said if people wanted to play, we'd keep the other one. I can tell you from experience that if you're there and the kids are on the playground, they actually really enjoy, especially the younger ones, digging in the sand. So maybe that's not the best place for it. I know that it probably means you have to figure out an ADA ramp or something or some kind of sidewalk to get over, but maybe push it into the lawn makes a little more sense. Just 'cause the kids do enjoy playground, digging the sand, playground, digging the sand.
Yeah, one of the things I saw, Stallings Community Park, part of their actual playground is a covered sand area against the fence.
Yeah.
So I would think that it'll be something very easy for us. We do that in-house, get a shade structure. We could add that to. Where to go?
In between or?
Right there, right? That could go in between, it could go off to the side here.
Sure.
So there's a lot of options there. I actually, later on, I'm gonna talk to you about Harrisburg Park, the playground. We actually discussed as a staff where we're gonna put some new turf in. We actually discussed, do we do a sandbox there? And we didn't think it was the right place because of the amount of traffic. So we backed off that. We never even brought it to administration. We just thought it'd be asking for trouble. So that's something we would definitely consider going forward.
Okay. And then the final thing is, I've got the same concern that Councilman Smith has about maintenance. I mean, you opened by saying, our playground structure has been there for 16 years. Wood, rope, all, enemies of weather. So it may be kind of trendy and cool, but, if you got to buy it 5 times as opposed to plastic, I'd much rather go with plastic and, you got to do your maintenance. They can make it just as cool. I don't know what the wood's made out of. It looked like it was varnished with some kind of penetrating sealer. You guys will be redoing that about every 3-4 years as opposed to 10, 16 for full replacement. I'd like to see I don't want to see it. You should ask them what their warranty looks like. And what their maintenance schedule looks like, and maybe get some older photos or call around to your buddies as opposed to taking the manufacturer's word for it. But that would be my issue with that. I like the idea of a more natural play structure. I think kids should be out there scraping their knees and and, you know, bumping their elbows and learning not to fall as an adult. I could tell you a story about an insurance company, but I won't, I'll tell you later. But those were my comments on
Appreciate those.
Yeah.
Nobody's worried about maintenance more than me, trust me, with
yeah.
all the stuff that we have to take care of. We want to make it as easy for staff as possible, for sure.
I think a playground like that will be perfect because I've seen some of them where they're done well and they appeal to that slightly older tween demographic when they're kind of growing out of the little swings, but they still want to go in the playground, still want to challenge themselves. So I think that's perfect for that age group. And as far as pickleball and tennis courts, are you planning on keeping tennis courts just as tennis courts so that, because they can still take over if you.
Yeah. Well, they're marked, you know,
Okay.
they're marked as pickleball as well. We'd see how that transition goes. You know, if it looked like pickleball was still trying to take over, then we would probably designate a little bit so the tennis players could keep their opportunities there. So we would watch the transition and engage it from there.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jim?
Good.
So is that enough direction from
Absolutely.
council?
I think we can go forward, right, Rob?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Taking my notes as you speak.
Great. Good stuff. Thank you for your input. Appreciate
Thank
it
you,
very
Jim.
much.
Next up, we have our presentation of Quick Fix Harrisburg to enhance resident engagement and efficiency. And we've got Casey presenting for us this evening. Welcome, Casey.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm here to introduce a new resident software called Quick Fix Harrisburg. It will be a service request software that our platform, that our residents can use. But before we get into exactly what Quick Fix Harrisburg is, I want to briefly go over how our residents currently report non-emergency issues. And that is done through phone calls to customer service, emails to our town departments, social media direct messages, in-person visits to town hall, and speaking during the public comment during our town meetings. And tonight, I'm introducing a new way that residents can file their concerns or work order requests in town, and that is called Quick Fix Harrisburg. Quick Fix Harrisburg is a platform where residents can report issues like potholes, street sign damages, park maintenance needs, and they can track the status of those reports in real time from submission to completion. They can also see what other residents have reported in their neighborhood. And the goal of this platform is to increase transparency, improve resident experience, and streamline responses to community concerns so residents can really see a behind the curtain look at what we're doing as town staff. And we believe that this platform will align with our mission, vision, values, and goals by increasing our collaboration and accountability with the community and making sure that we're continuously providing dependable, and safe public facilities in town. So, briefly going over what Quick Fix Harrisburg does, you have a video of a screen recording of the application on your screen, and we'll go step by step here in a moment. But the tool has mobile app and web portal accessibility, so it is available on the Town of Harrisburg app. It does have GPS location tagging. It allows the residents to upload photos directly through the app. It categorizes the concerns that our residents are filing by department. It allows automatic notifications so residents can see the exact work that's being done, get continuous updates of that work, and get a notification once that work is complete. Quick Fix Harrisburg serves as an internal communication tool for our staff, and it will allow staff to get a reporting and analytics dashboard so we know what types of concerns we're getting and what areas we need to focus on in town. So diving a little bit deeper into what Quick Fix Harrisburg is, it allows residents to report non-emergency issues directly to the Town of Harrisburg, streamlining the process of reporting issues and tracking the resolution. Quick Fix Harrisburg is available on the website and most importantly our mobile app, so it is available on the go. Examples of our issues or issues that our residents can file are potholes, sidewalk damages, overgrown vegetation, clogged storm drains, streetlight outages. How it works is the Quick Fix Harrisburg organizes, tracks, and manages all service requests from our residents through a single application. So when a resident does see a concern or an issue in our community, all it takes is a few clicks to submit that service request. That service request is then routed to the appropriate department and the work starts. Residents will receive direct notification once that work is complete through the app. The goal, as I mentioned, of Quick Fix Harrisburg is connecting our community. We really want to give our residents a direct way to communicate concerns that they're seeing. They're the ones out there every day in our parks, on our streets, in our neighborhoods, and provide a way to report the concerns they're seeing directly through the Town of Harrisburg app. The goal of using Quick Fix Harrisburg is to increase that trust with our residents so they feel seen and heard and see the results firsthand. So I want to walk through step by step how it works. So first, residents can access Quick Fix Harrisburg on our Town of Harrisburg app. It is available in the top right corner icon. Once that icon is clicked, a map will pull up on the screen and they can hit new request on the bottom of the screen. They can geotag their location. If that location is not within the Town of Harrisburg service limits, the resident cannot fill out the request. So we know that the request or the service concern must be within the Town of Harrisburg service limits. Once that request is defined within our service limits, they can hit confirm location, and then a list of common concerns will pop up. They can scroll through this list and find what concern they would like to file. They have the option to upload a picture of that concern and answer a few short questions. After that, they will be prompted to sign in or set up an account to submit that concern or request. And the purpose of signing in is so they can get the direct notification of when that request is approved or not approved, when it is being worked on, once it's complete. They can get continuous updates directly from town staff of that concern. Once they sign in, they'll get a notification page saying their request was submitted. They'll also get a confirmation email to whatever email address they signed up with. From the town staff side, all requests are routed into a centralized dashboard, and then staff can assign, respond, and track concerns into those categories, and those categories are by our town departments. Tools on that dashboard show the volume, the response times, and the trends in the types of concerns that we're getting. So as I mentioned earlier, if we see a certain area of town needs more focus than other, we can see that through the dashboard on the back end. Some advantages and key features of using Quick Fix Harrisburg. We hope it improves our communication and transparency for our residents. It provides convenience and accessibility with being available directly on our mobile app. It is empowering our residents to speak up when they see something in the community and file that concern in the proper place right through our mobile app. Allows faster response times from our staff, and it reduces duplications of efforts and concerns in our community. And what I mean by this is when a concern is filed through the app, a yellow orange dot will pop up on the map. If someone goes in and files a concern and they see an orange dot is already there, they can choose to follow that concern and they will get the same notifications as the original requester. So they're not going in and putting duplicate concerns in for the same issue. Our implementation plan overview of this, we've worked over the last several months to define our service categories that we have listed on the app, and we've mapped our internal workflows with the departments on what departments will work with what concerns. We've conducted staff training with the appropriate departments on how those concerns will be addressed. After our presentation to Town Council tonight, we hope to launch this, and we will be promoting it through our Town of Harrisburg website, our social media channels, and our newsletters. And once it's launched, we will regularly review our performance metrics, gathering feedback from residents and staff for continuous improvement. And I see Quick Fix Harrisburg as a living document. If we see that we're getting a lot of calls for a certain request category and that request category isn't there, we can always go add in. If we look at the metrics and one of the request categories is never being touched, we can remove that at a later date. So it's a living platform that we can continuously update. And I'm happy to take any questions or hear any excitement that you have about Quick Fix Harrisburg.
So excited.
Thank you.
I think as a council, we've talked about this before. We are trying to meet people where they're at instead of expecting them to come in and share all their things. And I think this really gives an on-the-go opportunity for our residents to do that. It's very exciting.
Well, to your point, we've talked about this for a really long time, but to see it come to
Yes.
life, it looks like it's done really well.
Yeah.
I was following along with you when you did it on my phone.
It's easy.
Super easy.
Yeah, it should take max a minute. Just depends on how detailed the concerns want to get.
I love the photo option,
Yeah.
that you can just literally take a picture of it.
Yeah, I don't recommend if you're driving, don't like do it while driving. Maybe like snap a picture and then go home and file it. But the great thing is you can go back to that location on the map. So
I noticed on your screen briefly Civic Plus in the background, is this tied to Civic Plus?
yes, our website vendor provides this as a service.
And
No, we pay for it.
are we seeing?
Less than inspectors, less than paying people to go around. Now, this is a very cost-effective tool. I don't remember exactly how much, but I mean, this is thousands, but not, this is, 5 figures, not 6.
Within your department budget?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we've actually budgeted for this in the budget process last year.
And what's to prevent mischievous people from me, like, complaining about the Roberta Road intersection every day, 10 times a day?
Because it's outside of our service area. It won't let you do it outside of service area.
Oh, I can find a way.
Yeah, there's a handful
He's
of
gonna
protections.
jailbreak it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put all those out there for you tonight, but there is integrated protections in this. Also, we don't really allow fully anonymous complaint. Like, you do have to register on this, so you have to have something to respond to you with to give you updates. Now, of course, you can set up a bunch of emails and do that. And if you're really, really
You gotta be
dedicated
bored.
to changing your email every time we block it, then we'll figure that out when we get there. But I do think there are going to be some things we don't know about this platform. Right? This is an app, and when you roll out a new app, it is going to have some bugs that just you don't know about. This is a beta version. Why we've kind of waited till tonight to soft launch it. We've gone through this with all of our staff, and so we think we've gotten most of the things worked out. But when you turn that over to 30, 40,000 people, you'll find some more, and we'll fix those.
And that's where I was headed. I mean, if it's on the back of Civic Plus, do we have municipalities already using it today?
Yeah.
So we truly aren't beta, we're only beta for us, but it's already being used in real environments today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know the town of Pineville uses it, Davidson, Burlington, several municipalities in North Carolina use it. We have beta tested it, to Rob's point, by defining those specific work order categories, so we don't have any open-ended categories. We can't just say, no other. It's all defined within specific work orders, and then those work orders have very specific questions tailored to those categories, so.
Okay.
So,
Sounds
a couple of things. I was on your wavelength when you said, oh, this is great. Next year, it'll be $100,000. So as long as you guys have it covered in the budget. But is there an option if you get hung up on there I just need to call the number. This is not working. I don't have the latest version of Chrome, or this thing is timing out on me, or
Can't find my categories.
can't find my category. And then somebody on the other end can go, let me open the app, and what's your email address? I'll just type it in for you.
Yes, so
And then
we-
they can see the problem real time.
We have our customer service number available on work orders, and so if they say, if you have any trouble, call customer service, and then our customer.
As you're logging on.
Yes.
Quick Fix, or Quick Fix, I'm having a problem, just call us during business hours.
Yes, and
Okay.
then for certain issues, if it's a water leak, again, this is for non-emergency, right? So if you're gushing water, you should probably call our non-emergency line if it's on the weekend or something like that. So we have those numbers provided if they can't work through the platform. And then our customer service will get that information and file the request on their behalf.
So, 2 other comments, and I think some of these may creep into fire or law enforcement. There's a bunch of loud kids back here, where's that on here? What do you do? Is there hey, if you have an emergency, call 911. If you have a non-emergency law enforcement issue, call this number. That can be posted there as well.
We are catering this more for non-emergency issues. We can add some of those concerns in, but it would be quote-unquote blocking the submission, so we wouldn't technically receive that submission. We would direct them to 911 or the Cabarrus County Sheriff. That's an option if you get in the platform and you see that you want that added, like I said, this is a living platform, so that's something we can add.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the communication, to your point, though, just needs to be clear that this is not for police and fire.
Right.
This is
Right.
material things that
If you're
need to
having
be
chest
fixed.
pain, this
Yeah.
is not you.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want to see that on a 8 a.m. on Monday morning and be like, are they okay?
Well, again, getting a quick fix to something, I think implies that you're physically fixing something. And we are trying to limit this platform to kind of the built environment for the most part. Code enforcement and things like that can be put in there because they're also dealing with the physical environment. But this isn't a substitute for your general customer service.
Right.
You have an emergency with police, and so you go on this app, don't, you know, and we'll put that out. But if you go on there, you're not gonna find anything. You're
Right.
just, you're not gonna find a spot that says, hey, I'm having a problem with crime, I'm gonna put it in here. You're gonna find, I have a pothole, sidewalk's busted up, this tree is dead and falling over, I've got this light pole out, my neighbor's lawn is 10 foot high, all the things that we normally get. You're at the park and you know, you see something that you don't like there maintenance-wise, you can put this in, and again, very simple process of hit the app, take a picture, hit your category, submit it. You're gonna get a confirmation, you're gonna get a timestamp of when it was submitted. There'll be timed response deadlines in that, so after a certain period of time, it's either gonna be addressed or you're gonna get an update of when it will be addressed. If things are left too long, they get escalated automatically through a ladder system into supervision. So not only is it a great tool for our residents who can now just very easily and quickly, you don't get on the website, you don't have to find a phone number, you can just take a picture, it's gonna geolocate it for you, you're gonna be able to submit it, and if you get on there to go take a picture and the geolocate comes up, it'll already have, as Casey said, anybody else that's filed a complaint. So maybe you're at a pothole and you're like, hey, take it, and I go to file it, and there's already 10 pothole complaints. You can just hit notify, and you'll be put on that same list as everybody else to get updated on the updates, and we'll know there's 11 people that have done it. You won't have to do a unique one each time if you see that somebody has already put a complaint.
Does this wade into fields and parks and rec, or is that totally separate? And I think I want to make sure that we are very clear on that. If it doesn't, because people will complain all day long about field conditions and there's a hole here and there's whatever.
I think if it's a maintenance issue, we want to hear it. It might be that, hey, the fields get reconditioned at the end of the season, but we'll take a look. But we should be responding to people that have an issue.
So if
and-
they were on a soccer field and found a hole, that's okay to report?
Mhm.
Okay.
To the mayor's point of meeting where they are, I'm convinced that this Rockin' the Bird sign up here on the corner near the bank does more to drive traffic than almost anything. So at the right time, as you guys ramp this up, maybe some signage around town or a flyer or a bill stuffer, you know, a sign in the lobby, you say, hey, you could have called Quick Fix, you didn't have to come in today. Or,
Yeah.
you know, whatever, and start to get that word out, not just on the website. Well, if I was on the website, obviously I would have found it, but I didn't even know. I never go to the website, but some of the way to get the message out.
For sure. We have some things in the works, especially with our water bills and our monthly newsletters and things like that.
Yeah.
And it will be a continuous thing, right? Like, it's not just announcing it this month. It will be continuing that message throughout the year.
Right.
So back in the budget process, and Casey did a great job presenting tonight, but I don't want to leave out the process of Casey really headed this through our budget process and also worked with the vendor and every single one of our staff members to build this out. She's truly the project manager on this. And if you think back, I know our budgets seem like 10 years ago every time we do them because we spent so much time on them. But the council really challenged us with, you know, as we looked at this cost versus value issue of how many staffers can you have out there looking at everything that we have in our park. We've been through one presentation tonight, and I've heard maintenance come up about 9 times, right? It's a serious issue for us as we grow as a town. How do you maintain everything without having hordes of inspectors who are just going around? And then obviously that has a cost implication to it, but we want to keep our taxes reasonable. So, you know, the challenge given to us was, you know, go out and use technology, find innovation, What are we doing with AI? How can we, leverage people that are already out there to get this done for us? So I thought this was an excellent option that Casey took to fruition to say, hey, this is very reasonable. Lee's been looking up cost. I think he's still got it over there. But again, this is a very minimal cost for the amount of data that we'll get back, and will give us also a good idea of exactly where those groups of complaints come in and be able to really tailor it to your community. This is a platform that's widely used, not just in Harrisburg, but across the country, but it is very tailor fit to each community. And Casey and our staff did a great job of getting together in multiple meetings and running through all of the scenarios. Okay, what happens on the back end? You don't want to roll something out and then not be able to address a problem. So they've done a great job of narrowing those categories down, making sure that we don't have any dead ends that say, oh great, I'm putting this all the way through, and then I'm a minute in and it says, can't submit, call this number. Nothing more frustrating. So there are none of those. If there's a category, you'll be able to submit. If not, call customer service and we'll get you taken care of.
So is it live?
It is. If
It
you go to
is.
your app right now, you'll find it.
I tried to submit a complaint for loud YMCA above.
I don't think that category is in there.
It says unauthorized. I tried to put it under code enforcement violation. It wouldn't take it.
Call
We
customer service
we actually
tomorrow.
flagged your email in advance, so anything that you put in is actually
It's the
going
town email.
I know.
That's why it got blocked.
Probably.
Blown up.
Any other questions for Casey? Casey, thanks for all your work on this. This is
Thank
exciting.
you. Thank you for your support.
Nicely done.
Great job, Casey.
All right, we've got Jim back up with us. He's going to give us a 2025 July 4th celebration update.
Me again. Well, good evening again, Mayor and Council. And as the Mayor said, I'm here to give a update and a review of, we had this event a month or so ago, some of you are aware of it or not, but kind of a large celebration, July 3rd and 4th, and so let's get right into it. So the planning for the event really starts, we're going to give you a timeline here, really starts in, excuse me, February. Put together a committee. That committee is all of our department heads and our management staff and all of us together. Ron made a great point last month that it's not just parks. Everybody thinks it's a parks event, which it is, but so many other departments are involved that we could not do this without. It really is a village putting together this event. And so the committee gets together, we start talking about fireworks and amusements and branding logos and different food vendors. It all starts to kind of get worked going forward. And then in March and May, we just kind of amps up a little bit with the parade applications, T-shirts, all the different things, partner meetings, food vendors, applications, those things close, so we can make sure we make those plans for setup. And then we get into June, of course, and June is all hands on deck and crazy and getting the park together and getting the parade put together and, making sure our sign orders up and the signs are out, our wristbands are ready to go, working very closely with finance at that time for pre-registration and ticket purchases. And of course, Casey and her department advertising the event. And then showtime on July 2nd is set up, and we start with the vendor check-in and all those kind of things that happen before July 3rd. And then, of course, July 3rd and 4th, the big event. And then July 5th, clean up and kind of get everything out of the park. So to recap the event, of course, we know it's 2 days, but we had 30 food trucks, 27 amusement rides, and 7 carnival-style games. 4 bands performed at the amphitheater those 2 nights. We also had 1 children's show both nights, pre-music, and 2 nights of fireworks. So what was our attendance? Well, on July 3rd, 10,300 people came into the park. July 4th, that's a couple extra more, like 28,700 were in attendance on July 4th. And on July 4th morning, it lined up along Highway 49, where 6,500 people ready to take in our annual parade. What's that total up to? It's 45,500 people taking in at some point our two-day event, whether it be at Harrisburg Park or at the parade or both, or all three. This is an interesting slide, or interesting piece of data that I thought you guys would be interested in. As you look at the hour-by-hour park attendance, you can see we start out both days, at 4 o'clock with 1,300, one night 3,000, and then it jumps up to like 7 o'clock. It starts to build up. But take note of July 4th, especially from a 7 o'clock spot all the way up to 9 o'clock. You can see that's when all the multitude of people are coming in. That's when we're really coming in and coming all at once. And we know most of that is for fireworks. People love fireworks, and they're trying to get in there to get themselves a good spot, good seat, taking that great fireworks show. And so just thought it would be interesting so you guys could see how that hour-by-hour growth occurred. So how do we put this on with how many people? Well, we had 69 volunteers, over 130 sheriff's office deputies over the 2 days and the 3 events. We had Cabarrus County EMS, 11 firefighters, and over 70 Town of Harrisburg staff, administration, and of course, you folks as well. What were our new features this year? Well, we had online wristband sales. For Harrisburg tax-paying residents, it was $20. And for non-residents, it was $35. That wristband bought you both days. You could come into the park and ride the rides all you wanted on both days. We also had free veteran unlimited ride wristbands. And of course, we tried again the Berg bundle. We did it last year. We tried it again this year. And that gave you a 2-day unlimited ride access wristband, a 2025 Harrisburg July 4th t-shirt, a coupon for water and a frozen treat, redeemable at the celebration on the 3rd or the 4th, and a commemorative July 4th cup. So what were our sales and revenues? So in sponsorships, we had $17,130. Parade entries, $2,200. Our vendor fees were $14,650. And our ticket sales were $104,285. And that grand total works out to be $138,265 in revenue over the 2 days. And with that, I will bring our esteemed colleague Casey back up to talk about community engagement.
Hello again. With the July 4th Festival, we always see a huge uptick in our community engagement, especially on our website and our social media. But some ways that we were able to reach our residents with our July 4th information was a website landing page. We had 29 Facebook posts and 26 Instagram posts related to July 4th content leading up to the celebration. And some of our content ideas leading up to the celebration was Music Mondays, where we featured a band that was performing at the celebration every Monday leading up to the celebration. Fireworks show viewing locations, showing the locations around town, not necessarily in the park, where people could watch the fireworks. Parking and shuttle information to make parking go as smooth as possible. Sharing our ticket sales and how people can get wristbands, especially our new feature, launching online wristband sales this year. And something else we did new this year was highlighting local businesses. And actually, our most engaged reel was our Cane's Corn Dogs reel. People love corn dogs. I agree. I love their Cane's Corn Dogs. But on this reel, we had 4,500 views with 197 interactions. Some other things, we did email newsletter just dedicated to July 4th content and a printed newsletter in the water bill dedicated to our July 4th content as well. As I mentioned, we always see a huge uptick during the celebration on Instagram and Facebook, but here are the numbers I just briefly wanted to show you. We had 122,000 Instagram views throughout July 2nd to July 4th. That's a 384% increase than what we typically see. Our content interactions, which means people were sharing, liking, posting, tagging on Instagram, was 1,300. On Facebook, that was 115,000 views on our Facebook page, again, meaning people came to our Facebook page looking for information regarding the celebration. And our content interactions on Facebook was 509, which is a 307% increase on Facebook. So really great engagement. We keep up our posts, keep them fresh, keep up our stories. just stay as active as possible on social media, because we know this is where people are coming to look for information, to tag us, to see what's going on, to see if they want to make it out, see the crowd size, all the things, and we try to keep everything fresh as possible during the event.
Thank you, Casey. So with that, just to wrap up and then take some questions from you folks, what were our challenges? Well, a lot of them are similar every year, but attendance, right? The number of people coming in there is a challenge. It gets very busy, and it's very busy quickly. Security. Well, with that attendance, right, we want to make sure we have enough security in the right spots at the right time. The event hours of operation, are we always doing what's best there? We're always trying to figure out how to best apply that. Traffic and parking every year, right? We know traffic's going to be a hassle, as well as parking. And of course, related to the attendance problem, right, is a congestion on the amusement field. We also have an opportunity. Next year is our nation's 250th birthday, and so we are going to be tasked with taking advantage of that opportunity by how do we make next year's event unique? And I will take questions. Thank you.
Go back to that last slide on the challenges, please. I absolutely 110% agree with your attendance, security. Probably what's not there is potential growth year over year. I'll be the first to admit, I still love the small town stuff, right? Serving since 2015, I can tell you, I've sat up here with various different folks, and there were several that many years ago believed we needed to be all in, this is us. And I would challenge them, I'm like, no, faith is the home of the 4th of July, always has been in this area. I would just caution us what we do next. The last 2 years, my wife even has made comments to me about it's cramped. We live in a crazy society too. So I won't go any further than that, but I'll just say we need to be thinking more around our potential growth and what's going to be next, and is there a way to slow some of this down?
Yeah, and there's been every year there's discussion about where's it going. But I know we've had a very serious, quick conversation, Rob and I and Lee, and we're going to have more of that over the next, well, I think we have a meeting scheduled coming up where we can sit down and really review this year, but say, okay, how are we going to apply what we're learning every year as to where we're going? And we know we've talked about quite a few options, with, charging and fencing and different things. There's so many different ways you could go with this thing, and how does it impact, and how do we handle it staff-wise, and, so we know that the crowd this year was about what, we can't do much more than what we got, so we know we've got to do something, or at least pay attention and come up with some kind of plans.
So the last question I have, and this goes back to when we talk about sponsorships, now we've got 2 years worth of data. Is it not time to really start hammering these larger corporations to show the exposure they're getting on these 2 days and really ramp that up as far as, it's almost contradictory what I'm saying, right? I think you can still be within a confine, but also, hey, we've got an amazing audience these 2 days.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of hard decisions coming up this year. We've done a great job, especially since our 50th anniversary, of promoting the event and making it an interesting event to be at for multiple days, and modernizing it and utilizing Harrisburg Park. Harrisburg Park couldn't handle this type of traffic prior to the park expansion. So now that we have this big asset, we're tending to utilize it. Pretty obvious this year, and I had spoken to some of the council members about this, and Jim and I have certainly talked at length. Boy, 28,000 is a lot to have in the park.
Yes.
And so anything more than that, really probably about 20,000 is a number that feels good to be at. So we've got to really look at how we're going to address the dichotomy a couple of things. One is, you know, we have a commitment here where we like to have maximum inclusivity, right? So we don't cap our programs. We don't cap that. We whatever it takes, we'll make it work. And that's been our motto and our brand. And we have the 250th celebration coming up. And so we want to do that really well. But we can't have even bigger crowds than we've had. And we can't have, quite frankly, as many unattended minors there is late into the night on the 4th that we've tended to have. This is the same problem we've had at lots of locations throughout the region. And while, you know, during the family-friendly times where there's lots of moms with the kids and folks watching the bands, it's great. But I know on the 4th, you know, my family was down on the field after the fireworks, and several other families were down in the field after the fireworks, and the crowd just becomes different, right? It's a lot of teenagers out by themselves, and you know, it's been many years since I've been a teenager, but I still do remember those days, and I would have been a terror unattended on that field as a 16-year-old. So I'll leave it at that. But we definitely have a lot of conversations going on, and we'd welcome any input from the council as we do that on what our vision is for next year, because we're going to start planning that now. This won't be a January thing. We're talking August, looking at what are we doing next July.
I do agree with hammering the vendors. That's a bargain, you know, for that type of exposure and that type of event and vanity and being in the right place in the right setting. But if we could extract more money from the vendors and use it to address some of these concerns around security or congestion, or, I mean, I don't know, maybe even spread it out over 3 days. You know, can we smooth the crowd out a little bit and say, come on in July 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It seems like a lot of hassle for these guys to set up and poof, be gone in 48 hours. Maybe we, you know, can smooth it out that way. But I understand 4th of July, big night.
Yeah.
That's the big one. But
Yeah, the large attendance difference between the 2 days is striking.
right.
You know, we always try to encourage people, come the 3rd, come the 3rd. You'll have a better experience. But, you know, it's July 4th, it's fireworks, it's, you know, so, you know, all that.
Half-price corn dogs, Jim.
Well, and it's day of the week too, because it was Thursday, Friday
Great
this
point.
year. It will be Friday, Saturday next time, and I
Right.
think that was, people were still working, so I think that might have been why we saw a little bit of a decrease in attendance on the 3rd versus.
Yeah, we generally see a big discrepancy, but that was a big one, right? You know, there's a lot of things that we talk about as far as attendance at that event, and the little things that might impact. You know, did people go away on Friday this year because they had the long weekend, July 4th being Friday? This year, there'll still be a holiday on July 3rd, because it will be observed on the 3rd for a lot of people, so we still may see a similar thing. But it didn't matter on July 4th, you know, so, but Rob's aware, we've talked a bunch already, and we're gonna get some official discussions going here, and I think we're scheduled for maybe tomorrow, I can't remember, but.
And I'll say the sheriff's department did a fantastic job on any of the little issues that kind of popped up. They were visible and present really quickly in mitigating any of those.
But, you know, what people also don't think about is the stressor that staff has for that on that July 4th. Because we get to a point where we can't really impact anything anymore. There's so many people, so garbage builds up, you know, and it creates a long, this year we had enough help where it really helped. We could get through it. We weren't there as late as usual, but it's still, we're there very late. And, you know, they're tired, have been at it since the parade in the morning, and so 28,000 people don't help, you know, but staff does a great job. Everybody involved does a great job, and we're appreciative of all of them.
One thing I do want to highlight, though, that we did really well was moving the signal so that the phones didn't crash like they did last year. Now, they definitely slowed,
Yeah.
but I mean, with 28,000 people, I think that's
I think.
to be a little expected, but
We'll-
last year they stopped working altogether.
Yeah, we'll give our guy
So-
James some credit for that, and Frankie, they
Yeah.
did a great job of
James
making
and,
sure.
and Wooten, right?
And Wooten,
Yeah.
of course, don't forget Wooten.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, again, that team, right, it's not just Parks, right? So many people involved to make this thing go.
The congestion on the fields and the long, long lines on the fourth. And I know we've been adding more rides, but the lines are just getting longer and the people, there's just more people. So I don't know what kind of decision we can make, but I feel like we need to do something about that.
That was probably the only complaint I heard was.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to stretch it over 3 days. Let's settle down, you know?
July the 9th.
Yeah,
I
let's.
thought he was going to say flatten the curve for a moment, and I was getting flashbacks, Chris. I don't know.
Let's like Charlotte Fair do all that and, yeah. But we need to think through that, what we're offering and
Agreed.
what we should be offering.
Long lines are on the top of the list of things
Mhm.
that are an issue, and the congestion on the field. I mean,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's on here. We were there till 2 in the morning talking about it the night of, so we started right away.
So we'll have a chance, I guess, for some feedback on the 2026 one at some point. I know there's some funding there, it's potential for some federal money, who knows, but, you know, B-52 flyovers, let's get some World War II veterans. Like, instead of the pop music during the fireworks, let's just play Whitney Houston's, the full thing, Star Spangled Banner at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
I do.
Let's all cry a little bit on the 250th. But let me know when that happens, or I'll take you out to lunch, or you and Rob together, and
We'd love to.
bat some ideas around.
Like, one of the complaints I heard, and that's part of this too, with traffic and parking, heard from several folks that live over like around Morris and back in there, that people were parked on Morris, and if there was some kind of health issue, no, there wouldn't be any kind of ambulance or anything to be able to get down through there. So that's really something we need, especially on that side of 49 or this side of 49 now. We need to look at.
Yeah,
I know Oakley, we usually block off or take that down there for pedestrian traffic to come over from Harris Depot, but some of these areas back over behind the Circle K and all that, I think we need to kind of look at that too.
Yeah, Old Harrisburg is
Yeah.
cramped.
Any other questions for Jim? Thank you so much for the update.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
And our last, but certainly not least of our presentations this evening, we have our presentation of the development map. And we've got Shelley DeHart and Ellie Landrum with us tonight. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is my first presentation in front of you, so thank you for having me. We're excited to unveil a much-anticipated resource developed by staff to enhance transparency, planning, and community engagement, and that is the Harrisburg Development Map. So staff in multiple departments collaborated to create and display this development map into a platform called ArcGIS Story Maps. And I do want to pause for my script here and really say thank you to all the staff who showed up and got this map off the ground. It was a combination of engineering and planning and admin and the fire department. And since Tim Wooten was named, I'm going to mention him again because he really helped us get this off the ground and working. So thank you to all the staff who made this a reality. Okay, so the platform provides a real-time visual of where the projects are located and what stage of the development process they're in. And we think Story Maps is a great tool for that because it takes static information and turns it into an interactive narrative featuring text, images, maps, and potentially video. Not only will the information be updated weekly by staff, but the platform is also mobile device friendly and can be accessed 24/7 from your phone or from your laptop or computer. This new development map makes it easy for the public to understand how a project moves through our system, which is often one of the many questions we get about development, from initial review to final build out. So I'm going to invite Shelley to talk through some of the features of the map, and then we'll do a brief live demo.
Thank you, Ellie. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to review some of the special features of the development map, starting with the project sites. All project sites are identified on the map utilizing a color-coded base identification that relates to the development process type. Now, these process types range from an administrative review through under construction and ending at completed projects. A conditional zoning project, for example, when scheduled for a public hearing, would be color-coded under the town council classification. If approved, it would then change its color coding and be color-coded for an approved plan. So a user can follow a project from the very beginning to the completed project stage. Now, each of these categories are further explained within the mapping platform. So I've provided a static snapshot of the development map to show how the color coding translates on the map. Looking at this map, I can quickly discern that many of the projects within Harrisburg currently under review are in the administrative review stage. That comes across through the Harrisburg red color coding, and a majority of the projects are also found under the Harrisburg green, which is under construction. Another special feature of this platform are the project tiles. By selecting a project tile, the user can obtain direct access to project information by name, find the project description and associated documents, and the development map will zoom in to its exact location. These tiles also allow a user to scroll through projects by interest. For example, if I was interested in Eiley Meadows, if I select the tile, this is what I would see on the development map. The development map would zoom in to the exact location. I would learn that the project is located on Robinson Church Road. It is a project that is identified as under construction. It will be a 71-lot, single-family residential subdivision. The project was recently released for construction in June of 2025. I would also have access to approved plans such as approved construction documents or conditional zoning plan, in which I could select the link and view online or actually download the plans as well. So I'd like to turn the presentation back over to Ellie so she can demonstrate live for you.
We're going to pray that technology works. All right. So let's see this in action. So there's going to be a few different ways to access the development map. Right now I'm on the planning and zoning website within our main website, and there's a Harrisburg development map landing page, an interactive button here that we'll click, and it takes us to the ArcGIS Story Maps platform. So as we scroll, you will see the GIS map on the right-hand side and the project tiles on the left-hand side. As I hover over these project tiles, you'll see the names pop up on the map, indicating where they are on the map. And if I wanted to zoom in on a particular area in Harrisburg, I can use this plus button. I can drag the mouse around if I want to see different parts of town. These gray pinpoints, if you hover over that, you'll see the project name again. If I click on that gray pinpoint, it will zoom in. It will show me the name of the project, a summary of the project, and then the different project files. I can click on a project file and it takes us to the file housed on our website, and these are fully downloadable, so if anyone wants to download these files and save them for whatever reason, they can. If I click this X, it will back me out of the project detail and give us the full picture of Harrisburg again. As I scroll down the page, the 6 development process buckets that Shelley mentioned are here and defined in case anyone needs more information about what each bucket means. And then if anyone has questions or wants more details about a particular project, we encourage them to contact the Planning and Zoning Office at this email or contact customer service at this phone number, and we're happy to answer any questions.
While you're on that page,
Yes.
Could you click on one of the developments in progress? Does it show when it was approved?
Depends on the project. What one should I pick, Shelley?
Let's see.
Pick Callaway.
Shall we do Hawthorne's
Yeah,
Pizza?
That one's not approved yet, so they're still under review. But yes,
It's
what will
hopeful
happen
thinking.
when you select the
Empire
project
State
plan?
Two? No, that one's complete.
the
Hold on, Shelley, we
approval-
can't hear you until
Oh,
you're to
I'm
the
sorry.
mic, so why don't you why don't you pause and we'll go to, yes, there's multiple ways to find
Yes.
it. Why don't we go to a Bloom, if you don't mind?
Bloom Corner,
Nope. Bloom.
Bloom
Estates.
Bloom Estates,
Yeah.
yes. So
Not-
this
Not
one.
Bloom Estates. Do we have regular Bloom
No, we don't
approved
have
plan?
regular
What do we
Bloom
have that's
here.
complete? Let's try that. I
Cookout.
don't want anything under
Let me go to
construction.
Cookout.
Give me a complete project and you should be able to get to the project plans. And then they'll have the
Yeah, I'm
date on
curious
it.
on-
But Rob, I think the goal is to see if it's there for residential.
You want just a residential?
Well, we get that a
We
lot.
get both,
like,
yeah.
Oh, all this construction, we're like, yeah, this has been approved for 5, 6, 7, 8
Exactly.
years.
I think you can still do it on the ones that are currently in some, but you're gonna have to
yes,
know
let
what
me
you're
look-
looking
let me
for.
look
If
at
you're looking for the
one
rezoning, then you
how
can
about
do
this
that.
one?
So
Because, you know, if you.
in
if you
that
look
case,
at,
you can go to
No,
Bloom
no,
Estates and
no.
pull up the rezoning plan.
Like the corner of Robinson and
Let me-
Rocky River.
Callaway, great example.
Callaway, there you go.
That
It was
is,
approved.
that is
Callaway.
55 years old approximately. No, I'm kidding, but it is like a
Close.
decade.
Yeah.
So if you go to the approved conditional rezoning plan,
It will come up and it should be stamped approved set, which, back at this time, they did not stamp them approved, but they are dated.
So 2017?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good eyes.
And the newer
You're
plans
trying to
actually have
build.
a official stamp on them, and I can provide an example of that. This one.
and the preliminary plat would have a date as well. So if you wanted to see like,
Yes.
okay, this was rezoned in 2017,
How about
go to the,
construction plans?
go back.
Sure. I was trying to show the stamp, but that's okay. It goes back.
On the side.
Here we go. The preliminary plat.
Yes, please.
And you can see Shashil's, the planning director's stamp of approval.
So in July of 2019, the bottom right preliminary plat, and then his approval in, not until November of 2020. So nearly 3 years on that project from when they came to the council, got it approved, to when they came back with an actual plat ready for approval. Thank you, Shelley.
Mhm.
What else you want to navigate to? So I have been, and I, while you're thinking of that question, I wanted to thank Ellie and our entire staff, similar to Casey with Quick Fix. Ellie has been the project manager on this since she came aboard. I've been working on this for at least 2 years and getting it almost there, but I've been quite the bridezilla on this project, and our staff has been very, very patient with me, but I think this is a wonderful end product, and it's exactly what we envisioned when we've talked about it. Another, great tool for our resident who goes and they drive past something and they go, what's going on there? Or you know what, what's going on next to my house? I'm just curious. Let me zoom into my house and see what's around. And not only do you see what's happening, you see when it happened, and you can get to the details. You want to see how deep the storm sewer is, but you can do that. You want the plans because you don't believe the stormwater was put in correctly, or the town doesn't have good regulations. You can get on there and see the stormwater control plan, and you don't really have to do much digging, right? This is very user-friendly. If you like maps, great. If you like tiles, it's there too. And this will be constantly updated and constantly current. We will, just like the other application we rolled out tonight, we will use this as a bit of a living, breathing application as well. If, we're still working through what is the right amount of time to leave these projects that come, apply for something and then go nowhere. How long do you wait for the, 60 days, is 90 days, is it 6 months? And so that's going to be a bit of a trial and error on how long inactive projects. I think one of the first projects I saw pop up here was the Morris Drive townhomes. That's been
Forever ago.
yeah, I mean, forever. We don't think that project's going to happen. At what point do you retire?
I pointed Chris, because Chris was sitting up here when
Yeah.
I came through.
Yeah, I was 3 promotions ago. And so how long do you leave these projects that haven't had movement on something like this and take them off? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? But of course, you can have a Callaway that's still building after 10 years.
Well,
So-
so if me as a resident, I'm actively following one of these, and I saw your color scheme, my question is what color does it go to if it gets denied? If I'm out of town, whatever, I
That's a
want to
great
keep
point.
up with it, it's
Yeah.
voting tonight,
No.
do we have a
We have
color
a
scheme for
plan.
tonight?
I don't think we're going to keep things that get denied or go away.
won't be
I believe those, but it's a great question. I don't know that we've talked about a color
We
scheme
have a
for
scheme, yeah.
denials.
So we don't have a color scheme, but in the project description, we will indicate that the project is denied and keep it on the map for about 60 days. That way, it's full transparency. If you're following, you have 60 days to check in, or you can always call the Planning and Zoning Department. We'll be glad to provide the information.
Any questions for Shelley or Ellie?
I do want to show you a couple other ways to get to this app, or to this platform. If you go to the home page, Casey added a hot button here on the home page, so you can click this development map button and it takes you directly to story maps. And then we will also have a button on the Harrisburg app on your phone, so you can access it in one of 3 different ways. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our special presentations this evening. So next up, we have public comments. We do have one individual that asked to speak. Mr. Wallace, we're so happy to have you back. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Wally Wallace. I live in Addison Park, 3093 Spring Forest Road, Harrisburg, North Carolina, 28075. My main topic I wanted to talk about basically is kind of covered with Quick Fix. If you've driven over to the old post office over there, at the railroad station, whatever you want to call it, you'll see that I thought it was paved, but I don't know what you call it, but it's got a hole already, all righty? And surely there's some warranty that goes along from the contractor that would repair that without it costing us any money, because it hadn't been done that long, I don't believe. And so that was the main thing, but as I sat here tonight, there's a couple of other items that if it doesn't violate protocol. Farm Mill, okay? I guess my first question was, as Jim started talking, was how does this tie in with all that money we spent on that study? I don't remember anything like this coming up, these type of parks and everything. And I'm not saying it's not needed, that's not my point. But it wasn't in the budget process, that type thing. I understand you talked about money available, but why wasn't it in that budget process and all of these things that we were presenting at that time, I guess was one of my main things. Then talking about Quick Fix, let me back up to it for a minute. Regardless of whether you like it or not, it's time we stop doing the same thing over and over and over and over and expecting different results, okay? So it's about time somebody moved forward on something, okay? As far as the 4th of July, the best thing you had was the buses over yonder, parking over there. It's the best way to do it. If you're gonna go, that's the only way to do it. But, Mike, you mentioned the fact, got to do something about that street. Got to do something about it, okay? Somehow restrict parking on one side. On Moorhead, that's dangerous, okay? I felt like that it was lots of folks. And I will say that the mayor said the sheriff's department did a super job, in my opinion. Sure glad you got that extra cart for them, okay? All right. Then this last thing that y'all presented, and I said thing, okay? I assume that's for y'all, not for the people. Is that correct? Because, man, ain't no way I'm gonna be able to navigate that, and I'm not a dummy.
Wally, you can. I
okay?
know you can.
Okay, I'm not a dummy, okay? But thank you very much for your time, appreciate it.
Thanks, Wally.
It was just under the 3 minutes,
He-
too. I almost cut them off. I say you just squeaked in under the 3 minutes. I was getting ready to cut you off.
I had a time. Had no checker going.
The only thing I wanted to address on that, if it had a moment, Mayor, was the Far Mill project. Those are addressed. If you look at the Parks Master Plan, it doesn't call out the specific "you shall do this here," but it does call those same amenities out in those same locations. So enhancing your current parks with these types of amenities, those are taken right out of that. And we also did discuss the play structures in the budget process, but short of a defined what type of play structure, we were instructed at that point, you know what, just come back with quick hitting stuff that we have later. We have this bucket of parks money that we collect when we get developments, and we have these kind of fee in lieu of that sits there, can only be spent on our parks. So bring those back, and we can have more open discussion like this, including input from the public. So that was the only clarification or answer I guess I could give right away. And then on Quick Fix, I think that was a compliment, so I'll just say thank you.
Thanks, Rob. That was it for public comment, and we will now move into consent agenda. And before we have a motion on the floor, thank you, Mike Thevenin. There was one name correction that needed to be made on the meeting minutes from last month. I think it fell under council comments. You were referring to one of our deputies that was throwing the ball with the kids over July 4th that we all were able to get some snapshots of. And in the meeting minutes, it read it was Sheriff Shaw that did that. However, it was Sergeant John Creighton. So that has been corrected. Council, you have that in front of you highlighted. So that is updated and what I will sign this evening. So is there a motion on the floor to approve consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you so much. Move into our communications portion, and first up, we have our town manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Couple updates for this evening. First, we have a couple of announcements. We have one new employee who started today that the town council and the community at large will tend to have a lot of access to, because there'll be a Parks Athletics Coordinator taking the position that was vacated by Mike Kirby. And as you all knew Mike Kirby, I think you're going to get to know Matthew Lawrence. It was by Matt. Matt's from the city of Nitro, West Virginia, relocated here. He served as their Parks and Rec Director. They have a population about 5,000 there. 3 years of Parks and Rec's experience, and graduated from WVU. West Virginia State University is where he got his master's after he got his undergrad there at WVU. He is a West Virginia native and is excited about the opportunity here, likes the change of scenery, getting out of his comfort zone, coming to a larger metro, quite a bit different than Nitro here in the Charlotte metro. And in his free time, he enjoys all sports, but particularly pickleball, golf, and staying active and staying busy. So if you get a chance to see Matt out there, out and about, certainly give him a welcome to the area. So excited to have Matt with us. We had a lot of conversations tonight about maintenance on these things, and we rolled a few things out. So I didn't want to leave that unmentioned. We've also had kind of a month where, for whatever reason, this has just been a thing, right? We've had parks maintenance and road maintenance and kind of parking lot maintenance brought up by Wally Wallace this evening. And I wanted to mention we're trying a lot of additions to get these reported in, but I also want to harken back to our budget process, where we do discuss this annually on this cost versus value issue each year, and Lee did look up the cost while we were over here. It was about $12,000 to implement the Quick Fix program. So for really, pennies on the dollar compared to having an employee, we're able to leverage our technology and innovation and have these opportunities to really streamline things without adding to our staff. And I want to make sure I don't miss the opportunity to at least say, our folks out there, they try really hard, right? We're not perfect. We're not going to get everything all the time. But what we know about, our guys get out there and they fix it pretty quick. I think we've certainly got some challenges when a growing town like ours, where we only get one shot every year to kind of project 18 months in advance and say, what type of staffing do we need for the next 18 months to adequately address everything? And how do we do that and project the revenues and expenditures and make sure that, we're being conscious that we're not overstaffing, but we're also providing the residents with the quality services that they expect. And, I think we do an excellent job of that. Again, we're going to have some things that come up. We've had Veterans Park. We've had the project there in Harrisburg Park. And those are issues that we looked at a year ago. And we said, hey, these are issues, and we've got some questions about whether or not we go for deferred maintenance or whether we go for big projects. And those took big decisions. But if you take like Harrisburg Park, for example, those are structural issues, right? It isn't a little this, a little that. It's failed concrete. We've got to rip concrete completely out. It's tough to get in there and do some fixes when the problem really runs deeper. Or the service metals being on the ground. We've had some veterans come to us about those service metals and saying, well, it's kind of disrespectful to have them on the ground where people are walking on them, plus the concrete's breaking all around it. So can we elevate those? So that was part of that project. And I think we, taking a measured approach on making sure that we're trying to do the best with what we have and getting good value is always our goal. I don't want that to gloss over the fact that if something isn't maintained, we want to know about it and we want to get to it. I think we're rolling out some options to get more of that in. But all in all, I'm proud of our staff. They do a really good job. They work hard. Summer's here, especially June is very hot this year, and I think our folks are out there giving it their all, and will continue to do that. So I just didn't want to let that go by without mentioning that. And then just a general shout out to staff. I think you saw several presentations this evening that really highlight how competent and dedicated our staff is. I think sometimes it's easy to throw a bunch of expectations out there, and then they get solved, and you go, okay, well, what's next, right? Without stopping to think how much work goes into it. Every single one of our departments were intimately involved with all of the presentations that we did tonight, because they all have a very important role to doing it, and they really do a good job. They all work hard. We've gone through the budget process and shown you guys our population versus staffing numbers, which we outperform the second closest by almost 100%. Our employees per capita are second to none. We always do more with less, and I would argue that not only we do more with less, we probably put a better product out there than most, regardless of staffing levels. So just a shout out to staff, because I know they work really hard, and they don't always get the recognition on that. So I wanted to put that out there, and I will wrap it up for this portion, and I have a introduction for somebody that has a presentation later this evening.
Because you said it earlier, the budget did seem like 2 years ago. Refresh my memory, because I know I've got it written down somewhere. Weren't we like 65 head on the staffing, like 65 bodies below the next comparable?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, but in general, as a good rule of thumb, like we were about half of the staffing per capita. If you were to compare us to Statesville or Albemarle or or, you know, even non-growth cities, which were pretty close to us. I know for like we're at about 140-ish staff members here. Almar, for instance, was north of 300. Statesville is north of that number. You know, it's hard for me to remember raw numbers for some of the bigger folks, because then you have to do the per capita number. It's hard to compare us to Concord when they have 10 times the population, but they have more than 10 times the employees. And I think those are the benchmarking is something that we work really hard on here. This is something our management team, we don't know how good we're doing unless we can see what we're compared against, right? You can gut feel everything, but that only gets you so far. But when we look at, you know, spending per capita, tax rates for full-service municipalities, the number of employees per 1,000 residents, or the number of residents served per employee, there's lots of ways for us to look at it. But by all measures, when we went through this in our February budget meeting, and we presented those graphs, which are available online for anybody if they want to go look at them, it's not close. Our staff does an excellent job. And you know, that is our model. That is our business model here, is that we attract top talent, and that top talent produces results for having top talent. But I don't want to gloss over the fact that we're very fortunate to have the talent that we have, and we have a very cohesive team that collaborates well together and has a lot of experience. And that's not the norm. When we look around at our neighbors, it doesn't take but a quick Google search to see which commissioners are getting in fist fights at their commissioner meetings, or you know, just the drama from not only staff and the electeds, but during the public comments. You know, our general decorum in this environment is not good. It's driving public employees out of public service. Jobs are still pretty plentiful, and they have been for several years. So we're seeing a lot of top talent say, enough. I'm going to go, if I'm going to put together this type of data science, I can do that at a bank. I can do it at a financial advisor. I can do this in consulting. There are places I can do this where I'm not exposed to as much toxicity. And I think we're unique here in Harrisburg. We don't have that same climate and environment, so we are able to attract some of the best employees in the region, and I'm proud of them. They've done a great job, and I think the direction that you guys have given us and that we've taken to the team, they deliver every time. So
the last question I have for
yeah.
you on that, in that same space is, and I know I can ask Chief Dunn, but since we're on this, are we at capacity now with our firemen? And it's a two-part question, because I know we changed their work schedule that no other municipality was doing. Did we see benefit from that schedule?
Yeah, and I'll let Dunn, Chief Dunn, address that in more detail. We always have either one or two vacancies or one or two coming up, because again, we're training the best and the brightest here in our department, and Charlotte likes to steal the best and the brightest from wherever they can. And they're just the you know, big guy on campus, right? They're gonna get folks that want to be very active and run lots of calls, and they tend to take a lot of our younger firemen who have gone through a couple years of training here. But we're able to quickly replace those, so we don't have the lag that we had. If folks remember 3 years ago, we had such thin staffing that we're rotating stations, right? Trying to say, okay, if we have a call off here or there, is it better to run, you know, short trucks, or better to full staff trucks? And there was, you know, a lot of that staffing issue going along. That has been virtually solved from a management standpoint. Our compensation is second to none. Our benefits lead the state, and the schedule has, from what I've been told, has helped dramatically. That is a big selling point of our firefighter schedule. And again, as soon as Chief Dunn hears of an upcoming vacancy where they may be moving and being promoted up in Charlotte or somewhere like that, he's able to get somebody backfilled into that in no time. So,
Thank you.
Any other questions for Rob? All right, next up, we've got Brian Lee with our finance report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have your finance report after the first month of the fiscal year, so 8% of the way through the year. You can see tax collections shown in red there at 1% and overall general fund revenues at 3%. We go over this for the first couple months of every year, but this is not a concern given the typical timing of property tax payments, so no concerns there. The water and sewer fund and stormwater fund are right on target at 8% revenue so far. Looking down through our general government departments in the general fund, this is a little unusual. They're all in yellow, so we're not used to seeing that in our general fund departments. But we've actually made quite a push this year to get things going. As you've probably seen tonight, we have a lot of things in the works and a lot of things actually being delivered. So that's a concerted effort to do that this year, as well as July had 3 payroll periods hit in the month. So we're starting off with above average on payroll cost, and that will flatten out across the year. Looking down through the rest of the departments, same story in those departments that have high staff cost, engineering, fire, and Parks and Rec are included in those. Some of the others that just have more kind of operations and not as many personnel expenses are remaining where we're used to seeing those in green. Parks and Rec is at 17%, but that has the July 4th celebration expenses in it. With that event removed from the budget and the actual expenditures, the department's at 9%. So no concern across Parks and Rec there. Water and sewer at only 5%, and the stormwater fund at 9%. And like I mentioned, salaries across the entire town is at 10%, and that's from those 3 pay periods. Now moving into our project dashboard, here's a look at our single year projects. We had a couple with a little movement in July, but the main one that was checked off here is a carryover project from last year that popped up in June right before the July 4th event, and that was the splash pad HVAC system that was added there. The system is operating, and the exhaust fan for the chemical room and all the splash pad equipment has been installed and is operating effectively. Here's a look at our multi-year projects in design phase. Had a little bit of movement here on 2 projects, but the one I'll point out here is the Hickory Ridge Sidewalk project. Just as a little bit of a refresher, this runs from the middle and high schools down Hickory Ridge over what will be a new pedestrian crossing over Back Creek. There's a signalized crossing going up to Veterans, and there is a council recommended signal crossing for the students leaving the schools crossing over into Bridgepoint. So I know that'll be a great enhancement on that road. This sidewalk network here, when it's installed, nearly closes the entire loop of Hickory Ridge Stallings and Raging Ridge. We're only missing a very tiny piece to get that loop connected, so that's a really big move for this area. Also on that project, there is a public input meeting for everyone to be aware of on the night of September 25th. Moving on to our multi-year projects under construction. We had a little bit of movement on a couple here as well, but I'd like to point out Veterans Park enhancements. You can see the construction taking place here with some of the concrete work and the new stairwell up to the corner of 49 and Veterans. There is some more concrete work going on around the fountain to take out that damaged concrete and replace that with a stamped concrete that will hopefully last a lot longer. And then there's a lot of other enhancements to the park that will take place after some of this concrete work. Here's a look at the equipment projects for the year. This is a really good snapshot 1 month into the fiscal year of progress on equipment. We haven't seen movement on equipment and vehicles like this in a couple years, but as you can see, we only have 2 items that haven't gotten off the ground only 1 month into the year. So we've got 3 projects up here at the top, 2 golf carts for the deputies, a replacement special ops trailer for the fire department, and some rescue airlifting bags, again for the fire department. Those have all been ordered and are on their way. We have 2 other items that have been ordered and received. The dehumidifiers for stations 1 and 2 for the fire department do need to be installed, so they still show about 50% even though all the materials have been received. And then the replacement Kubota has been received. I think it needs some stickers, and then it's ready to be placed in service this month. 2 other pieces of equipment were received and placed in service. Those were with Parks and Recreation. These were carryover items from last year that were ordered several months ago and just finally came in. The top dresser and the quick roomer attachment are both in use right now. Here are vehicle projects. As we mentioned during budget season, we are adopting a vehicle replacement policy that will really set the standard for those and remove a lot of the decision-making out of that, and it will just determine when vehicles are eligible to be replaced or not. So pending that policy being approved, we've held off on a lot of the passenger vehicles, but we do still have some movement on some of the bigger builds. Those are in the fire department, and of course, we always have deputy vehicles going on as well. This is a look at the brush unit that's been being built for about the last 8 to 10 months. It should pick up steam now that the body and the chassis have been finished. So we have accessories being added to this vehicle, and it should be ready in a couple months. And then lastly, our professional services projects. We have the audit, the comp plan, and the town center plan. Those will also pick up a lot of steam in the next couple months, but they just had kind of standard progress throughout the month of July. And with that, I welcome any questions you may have.
Brian, one quick thing in the future. If can you go back to one of your slides?
Sure.
Doesn't matter which one. It's hard to tell the materiality of some of these things. You know, for 47%. You know, and frankly, I forgot what the brush truck costs. I don't know if it's $100,000 or $50,000, but that might give us some more context. And I think you had it on the tax collections, and you weren't
Yep.
too worried about it. We were behind or whatever. I'm just wondering how much money we're floating. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So I think on some of these other ones, it would be helpful to see the dollar amounts.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Because we forget.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Brian? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right. Mayor, I did have that answer earlier that Councilman Smith had asked. So our group average for benchmarking for number of employees per 1,000 residents, so the group average is 12. We come in at 6. So we have about half the employees as the group average, with the most being about twice that, about 25 per 1,000, us being at 6 per 1,000. So
Thank you.
take that for what it's worth. And I wanted to welcome this evening. I know everyone is used to seeing a different face up here, but I think we had about 4 or 5 different retirement send-offs for Captain Mesemer.
The world tour.
And I want to congratulate Captain Nash on her promotion to captain. Captain Nash has dedicated almost 17 years to serving Cabarrus County. She started as a detention officer in 2008 before becoming a deputy in the communications center in 2010, transitioned to patrol in 2012, and then became a field training officer in 2015. After that, she quickly rose through the ranks to sergeant in 2019 and became the lieutenant here at the Harrisburg Division in 2022. Throughout her career, she has built trusted relationships with the town, including with the leaders and the community at whole. She served as a general inspector, stop stick instructor, and specialized driving instructor. She's also shared her expertise through conducting in-service training for the detention officers. She's taught detention officer certification courses and assisted with basic law enforcement training instruction. She's also an active member in the Critical Incident Stress Management Team and, near and dear to my heart, the Pursuit Review Board. Captain Nash has completed multiple leadership development programs over the years, including Public Safety Leadership Institute, Burden of Command, Leadership on the Line, and the FBI LEADA Supervisor and Command Leadership Institutes. I want to obviously thank former Lieutenant, now Captain Nash, for her service and commitment to excellence and her passion for really mentoring and training people over the years. She's been a dedicated or an asset to the citizens of Cabarrus County the whole time, but I'm excited to have her all to ourselves here as the captain of the Harrisburg Division of Cabarrus County Sheriff. So if you would just welcome Captain Nash with a round of applause.
Thank you. I'd also like to add that she can help pull off one heck of a promposal, too.
I can. That was a good one. But thank you all. I do appreciate it. I know I have big shoes to fill with Captain Meismer, so I'm not quite as snarky, but don't have the jokes, but I did improve our PowerPoint, so.
She used our branding for the PowerPoint, so only took me 4 years to get somebody to.
So our July update for law enforcement, we had 2,958 law enforcement-related activities, 1,712 security checks, 892 traffic stops, and a non-emergency response time of 7 minutes and 21 seconds. With me moving to captain, that obviously vacated my lieutenant spot. So Lieutenant Josh Hams, who is here, he was anxious to jump right back into my spot. He's wanted to come back to Harrisburg. You probably remember him from about a year ago. He was a sergeant over our detective in our crime reduction unit, got promoted to lieutenant and went out to the county as a patrol supervisor, and then he wanted to come back. So that was perfect timing for him to be back in Harrisburg. He's really happy to be here. But he has 16 years of law enforcement. He has worked in communications, patrol, criminal investigations division as a detective, crime reduction unit, and he's also the SRT special response team commander and also a firearms instructor. So a lot of experience.
Welcome, Lieutenant Helms.
And then last month, we also added our 2 new sergeants. First off is Sergeant Eric Calicut. He has 16 years in law enforcement. He's a general instructor, a drug recognition expert, as well as an instructor for that, standardized field sobriety testing instructor, and a field training officer. And then finally, Sergeant Vance McGee, who has 14 years in law enforcement. He's been with Cabarrus County Sheriff's Office for about 3 years. He worked previously at Concord PD and was a sergeant there as well. He's also a member of our special response team and a firearms instructor. And since he's been here, has trained over 20 officers, 5 of whom currently serve in Harrisburg. So as you can see, my supervisory staff have a lot of years of experience. I have a great staff and also deputies working. And we're looking forward to continue to serve Harrisburg. And that's all I have. Any questions?
I do. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We are lucky to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Truly.
I saw something on a school resource officer in Harrisburg Elementary. Does that come out of our pool, your team, or is that out of the county? I'm just curious. I don't know the answer.
It's out of the county. So Cabarrus County, Concord City has their own SROs for their schools within the city limits, but Cabarrus County does a vast majority of the schools. We have roughly 26 SROs that cover all the different schools, and they add some every year. They also do like the early colleges and everything like that. So.
But he's also Harrisburg, so his kids went to Hickory Ridge High School.
Ah, nice. Okay. So that's an extra layer of protection.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Good.
And those SROs are great at what they do. They learn the kids and, learn their staff. If you call and ask a question about a student, they know exactly where they are, how they usually act if something's off. They're very intuitive.
And you guys collaborate with them if they're running wild in the park? We probably know their names.
Yes, and that has happened. We sent videos of things that have happened. They're like, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is. That has happened on multiple occasions.
Okay, good to know.
Captain Nash, I had asked Captain Meismer, and I assume this is probably more a Cabarrus County Sheriff's directive as opposed to Harrisburg specialty, but my question has always been around our youth. And, the first times they're getting pulled over, is there kind of more of an effort to educate as opposed to scold and cite the situation?
When I was a patrol officer, I know a lot of them do the same thing. If I pull over a 17-year-old for driving too fast, I get their parents on the phone. That's usually the best resource. It's like, okay, get your mom on the phone. Well, she's at work. Well, you better call her, or we're going to stay in here all night. So there is a lot of education. I think the parents are the best asset. They might not know that their son's driving 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. So there it definitely is. It's always officer discretion, but traffic enforcement and education is what we pride ourselves on. We actually have a unit that's called traffic enforcement and education, not just enforcing the traffic laws, but also educating the public.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Captain Nash? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Chief Dunn, you're up.
I got to come up with some jokes now. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. So the Fire Department report for the month of July. We start off with our fire marshal activities. You can see you did some consultations or pre-submittals, some special event planning, and so forth. We began our initial phase of the development of our job description for our full-time fire inspector position. As far as fire prevention events, Engine 32, which is Station 2 on Rocky River, had a station tour. The ladder and another engine did an event at our children's courtyard, and we did hold a community CPR day, which taught 12 adult CPR and AED skills. You can see the generalized graph of what they do complete. Again, most of it is our general inspections of our strip malls and things of that nature. But you can see foster care inspections, plan reviews, fire alarm reviews, things of that nature. As far as our statistics for the month of July, it did complete 64 inspections, and 5 of those were re-inspections. And our photo of the month for the inspection violation, those are mini bikes that are hanging on the roof of a commercial building. That is not allowed. As far as the violations that they find, you can see again, maintenance ticked up this year, or this month in July, as far as testing and inspections of sprinkler systems, alarm systems, and things of that nature. And then fire extinguishers that are right along with that as well, 36%. As far as our operational statistics for July, we responded to 261 incidents. Response time did tick down a little bit to 3 minutes and 55 seconds, just below 4 minutes. And you can see how that correlates to our graph over a 12-month prior period. As far as fires in the month of July, we did have 2. One was a lightning strike on a residential structure. The other was a grill that caught on fire that was too close to the house as well and caught the siding on the house on fire. As far as incidents by station, you can see the usual chart that we see, the graph. Station 1 leads the pack, followed closely by 2 and 3 on Rocky River Road. And again, this correlates to the incidents that we have. Most of them are rescue, EMS related, traffic accidents, things of that nature. And here's the heat map that we see throughout our fire district, and the chart that indicates 1 call, 2 or 3 or 4 at the bottom. As far as some of our operational updates, again, we did have the July 4th event standby. We had one of our captains and one of our firefighters that did attend a communication operators class at the Emergency Management, North Carolina Emergency Management, which will help with our swift water team if they are deployed. And again, we did have the 2 building fires that I mentioned earlier in our area that were worth a little over $2 million, and the fire loss was just over $42,000. We did have 2 significant MVAs, motor vehicle accidents, in the month of July, which resulted in pin-ins. And that is it. As far as our staffing, we're doing good. I think we have 1 opening right now, but that's on management's desk to approve that. So
The other
we're doing
question was
good.
on the scheduling. How has that
Yeah.
worked out?
No, it's doing great. A lot of municipalities right now, or fire departments in general, are looking at a lot of different schedules. But the 4896 that we went to is still the predominant one that's out there. You're seeing some larger fire departments where their stations are running, 4,000 and 5,000 calls a year. They're actually looking to put a 4th shift on, which would create, y'all would have a heart attack if you saw those numbers, but we're doing fine with where we are. So, and recruiting wise, I think we've recruited, I think we mentioned 2 or 3 or so because of that schedule. So good stuff.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Dunn? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Just a few mayor comments this evening. I certainly hope all of our Cabarrus County students and families and faculty and staff had a great first day back to school. I do want to remind everybody to be aware of our school zones. I think coming off the summer, sometimes people forget about those school zones, and to also pack a little bit of patience during those peak hours. These first couple of weeks are always the most congested. Stallings, Veterans Bridge tend to be not so fun to venture around town, but those tend to iron out as well. We were invited, or I was invited to attend the ribbon cutting for Truliant Federal Credit Union that was right here in Town Center at the end of the month. It's a beautiful facility, and we're certainly happy to have them as an additional financial resource for our community. This past Saturday night, we had our third Rockin' the Berg of the year. It was a great turnout. I don't think we could have asked for better weather for August. It was beautiful, and we're certainly looking forward to our next one, which is on September 13th, featuring Absolute Queen. They have a rather large following, so I think that will be a great concert and turnout. And while you have your calendars out, just a reminder that September 20th is the Multicultural Festival from 10 to 2 at Harrisburg Park. This is the 7th year, and is really a great opportunity to learn about the cultures from around the world. I did get an update from Brett Crosby from upstairs at the Y earlier today, and they are still on target for a September opening. They are really hoping to share that date as soon as possible. There are still naming opportunities, founding memberships, and bricks to purchase, so a great opportunity for your family and some legacy giving. We have Movies in the Park coming up this Friday, August 15th at Harrisburg Park, and then the second one is on September 5th. And I know I'm throwing lots of dates out at you, but they are all online on our websites and our social media pages. And finally, I did want to kind of circle back to some comments that were made in public comments at our last meeting in July. We had a couple members of the community that had just expressed some concern that we were not in attendance to a Juneteenth celebration that took place at Harrisburg Park. And I wanted to kind of go back and make sure that I didn't miss anything. There are lots of events going on in Cabarrus County and in Harrisburg too. And I think we certainly all make a conscious effort to attend all that we can. In fact, I think several of the board attended last year's Juneteenth events, but I simply did not see anything about it. There wasn't anything in email and mail. I wanted to make sure that we didn't miss anything, and I'm not sure the communication piece, but anybody that wants us to be part of something, we certainly welcome the invitation. We want to be a part of those big things happening in our community. It's a good opportunity during our comment section if there's things going on to bring up, because it's real easy to miss with everything that we have going on. So I want to make sure that we get a calendar invite for the sidewalk project and public meeting, because I did not see it on my calendar yet. And we all live by the calendar, or we end up missing things. So while we were talking about attending things, just make sure that that's on there as well. And that is all I have. We'll open it up for council comments.
I just had one thing to add. I had the privilege, I don't know if Casey's still here running around there. She is doing an excellent job with the youth council, and we were allowed to participate, help interview some of the dozens and dozens of candidates that we had. And that tells me a couple of things. Number one, we have some great students who are wanting to be involved in Harrisburg, and hopefully will make this their long-term home. But the other thing it tells me, we have parental involvement. I saw some of these applications, they had a little help from mom and dad. It's not a bad thing. But I really think it makes a difference when we invest back in the community, and Casey and I had this conversation. I'm not sure if they're investing in us or we're investing in them, but it's a mutually beneficial arrangement. And I think all good things will come back to us, and hopefully they'll make Harrisburg their long-term home. So I think it's a wonderful program. Tough to make decisions with that many candidates, but well done.
Chris, I'll jump in on that as well. I was able to sneak in Saturday morning to their initial meeting. It was a great opportunity to see so many different faces in there. And Casey even let me address them, and I just kind of shared with them how proud we are of the work they did last year. And it was a great opportunity for them to come together and and make new friends, especially some of the freshmen and sophomore students that were coming in and being a part of that. So great kickoff to the year. Thank you, Casey and Nikki, for the work you guys are doing on the Youth Council. You're making a huge difference in that, and we appreciate it.
And the last weekend of July, we had our NC BMO Summer Conference. It was in Greensboro this year, and every year they work with us, and we did some sort of certification. And this year it was, to Rob's point earlier, we've seen how volatile our other municipalities, their council meetings can be, or commissioner meetings and whatnot. So we did our commitment to civility certification, and we have the opportunity to do that as a council if you all are interested. And additionally, there'll be some of us that will be going to Utah in November to present there.
What was the name of that?
NC BMO.
Okay.
I'll jump in. A couple of things that I have are more or less probably items I want to get on action list or action items. First is Harmony, the shrubs. Still not any movement there, but now with the sewer project over there, we've got a bigger eyesore. I have this feeling that Wasatch's probably just going to leave it as is once they pull out all their equipment. One side's already done, and it looks like a mudslide. It just, and I know it's private property. I think that's Jim's Flowers land, but looks like a sled went through there.
Are we talking about Jim's land or the
Well,
access point?
So there's both sides. One is owned by Harmony, that's
Yeah.
where they've been storing all their stuff.
Yeah.
And I know they're finishing up.
Mhm.
So is there any plans for that?
I would have to look at the plans, but just in general, there's a restoration plan when you get done with this. You generally don't leave it. You can't really just leave it unseated. You would have to restore it in some manner. But I'd be surprised to see a Wasatch project without a final restoration plan. They do a pretty good job of cleaning up when they're done.
Do we have an update on our old Harrisburg home that, I know we had a public comment either last month or the month before?
They dropped the
Oh.
price.
Oh, they dropped the price.
Yeah, so
There was not a squatter, but there was someone occupying that's not supposed to be occupying, I think is where we were at last.
yeah, and to our understanding, there's no activity there that is going on that is in violation of their agreement. Rich had looked into it. We hadn't seen anything. We'd reached out to the owner. They're continuing to try to sell the property. It's not in that great a shape, and they're asking a little bit too much for it. And I think they're getting to that point where they're discounting it now. But certainly not aware of any activity at the
Yeah.
property after the last meeting where it was mentioned. Yeah, it might be people going in there and, doing,
They're showing the house.
they could be showing the house, they could be taking stuff in, out. Those are all permitted activities. As long as they're not using the home, then they can operate it.
And the last thing is, we saw a lot tonight from Casey, from Ellie, from Jim, and honestly, government moves slow. So, these things weren't drawn up overnight on a whim. They've been in the works for quite some time and taken a lot of effort. So thank you guys for staying with it. I will never say who told me this, but when I first got elected in 2015, the individual I talked to said he loved municipal government for the reason that we only have to commit to anything for 15 months. He goes, because there's another crew coming in right after that. He goes, and the plans change. So kudos to you guys for staying on track and not getting derailed and sidetracked by another crew coming in or leaving or what have you. So thank you for that. And with that, I do say that, Rob, you make mention, there is a lot of infighting. I am very thankful. I have been on the other side of that. I have seen the infighting, and I can tell you the last 4 years have been phenomenal with this crew. I can't say enough about the folks that are sitting up here today. Some of the shenanigans that I saw over the years, people just wouldn't believe, but, you know, for us to have the peace, the calm, the interactions that we do, I mean, we had a small situation last month, but I don't see that, you know, inflaming anyone at this point. I think it was some miscommunication more than anything else, but I think that is not a credit to us, but more so to the management and to the staff that support all of us when we're sitting up here. None of this is possible without the support of the staff buying into the ideas that we bring forward. And sure, we can be certainly rough at times with our critiques. I know I never let my mouth stop sometimes, but I just want to make sure that you guys do understand we do appreciate you and all that you do for us. Thank you.
Any other council comments? All right, we do not have any public hearings or old business tonight, so we will move into our two new business items. First up is our consideration of the fiscal 2026 budget ordinance amendment for increased Pop Warner football program registration, and Jim is back with us again. Third time's the charm.
And I'll have another one after this. So, again, for the third time, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to discuss a budget ordinance amendment for our Pop Warner football. Many of you have been here long enough. This is my fourth year here. This is my fifth football season. I've seen incredible growth for the Pop Warner program. In 2021, we had 90 registrations, 90 participants. And as I stand here today, we're at 256. And incredible growth, successful program, great support. It's not a surprise that they grow the way they're growing. That said, during the budget development process for FY 2026, our staff, park staff, estimated an increase to about 185 players, and budget numbers as follows: expenses at 54,775 and revenue at 52,750. So when we received 256 registrations versus when we thought 185, that created a whole different can of worms for us. And so with that, with the larger than expected registration, the town did receive an additional $20,450 in revenue. And so I'm here tonight to request on behalf of staff the extra revenue be appropriated to the program expense line to help offset the increased costs of the program and of outfitting the extra registrations. It is important to know that there's no fiscal impact of the budget amendment, with both gross revenues and expenditures increasing equally. I also want to let you know that the coaches and parents of that program have already helped out with some equipment costs, and also reached out and negotiated with Pop Warner, the governing league, to reduce some of the required costs involved with security and referees and those kind of things. So they're trying to do their part as well. So it is my hope that we can get the extra revenue so we make sure those kids get what they need and move forward. And with that, I'll honor any questions.
Are there any questions for?
Are those all football players? Does that include cheerleaders?
It does not include cheerleaders, it's separate.
Okay, and are they where you?
They're about where they're supposed to be. They're actually down a little bit this year, so. Not significantly, but a couple down.
Any other questions for Jim? If not, is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 budget ordinance amendment for $20,450 to recognize additional revenue received and the related program expenditures?
Motion is stated.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you for the support on that. Appreciate it very much.
Move right into the second new
And
business item.
Right into it. Whoop, let me back up. And so now my next new business item is Harrisburg Park Stormwater and Playground update. This project was previously approved by you all in June at the June 2025 meeting, council meeting. However, we were unable to execute the contract prior to the June 30th deadline. And so with that, we're asking to rebudget the project so that we can move forward. And since we're here, I wanted to get a chance to give you a little refresher on what we're doing over there. Especially that since June, we've actually fine-tuned exactly some of the equipment and some of the things we're doing. And so I could put a little bit more identity to the project for you folks. So you can see a couple of pictures here of some of our problems. This is along the sidewalk above the playground, where water, when we get heavy rain, comes rushing down, washes all of the, if you look at the picture to the right, you can see where all that runs off from this hill. And that becomes a problem maintenance-wise. It's slick when it's wet. We also have to make sure the guys get out there and scrape it off and get rid of it and put it back in, and then subsequently, down it comes again. And then two other areas many of you are familiar with. If you walk from the breezeway in the bathrooms onto the playground, you'll notice that we struggle to have grass grow in these two areas. And that's just because of the amount of traffic that gets through there. They're going back and forth, back and forth. We have so many families back and forth that it's just difficult for us to maintain any kind of lawn structure there. And so to alleviate the issues, what we're simply doing is we're constructing a concrete berm along the sidewalk, down the length of that, to keep the water on the sidewalk rolling down to where it can be better spread out over some of the turf and some of the other lower areas. We also are going to build a staircase to allow the pedestrians to reach the sidewalk or reach the playground from the sidewalk, so that hopefully they're not cutting over the berm and through the landscaping. Now, we know that'll happen from time to time, but hopefully people will use that stairway more often. And then we're also going to add synthetic playground turf to those two areas that I mentioned earlier right here to make sure that we can always have a nice green look and much better maintenance opportunity for that. And what we also added to this a playground improvement opportunity. So what we did is we're adding playground pieces for ages 2 to 5. You know, when you look over there, I call it the anthill, right? When you look over there, though, it can be very dangerous for our littler ones who are running around with all the same age older age kids. And so we're going to add one specifically for 2 to 5-year-olds. We're also going to increase shade capacity onto the playground. We're adding new synthetic turf to where that new piece of playground equipment is. And we're also adding landscaping along that sidewalk, between the sidewalk and the playground proper. And so here's a quick rundown. Try to see if I can, there we go. So here's an overhead shot where you see everything we're doing here. Here's the the stairway that's going to come down. And along this black line you can follow here, that's where that berm was going to go. It doesn't go all the way here. I think it comes to somewhere in here so we can spread it out. There are catch basins over here that will help maintain that water flow. This is the area that will get synthetic turf, as will this one right here. And if you look here, here's our two new shade structures. The beauty of the shade structures is they can cover people who want to watch this part of the playground, as well as the new piece. And right over here is where that new piece is. That's that little triangle. We call it the triangle. And I'll have a little better picture here so you can see exactly what's going to look like over there. And so those are the improvements to the actual playground itself. Here are examples of the two shade structures that we'll see when they're done. Of course, they'll have the same blue cover as the rest. And then here is the one piece of equipment from two different views. And you'll see that it's tunnels, and it's specific for 2 to 5-year-olds. Of course, older can get on there if they need to, depending on their size. And there's a couple of play structures added here, just for climbing and that kind of thing. So again, you got two views of that. And so with that, I will take questions if you have any.
Go ahead.
So Jim, there's already that smaller area for children to play, for the younger kids to play there. Would you then just move that or remove it or leave that?
No, everything will stay the same on the playground as is.
And just add those other features?
This will just add on to the corner, and we go back.
I feel scattered.
And we go right into here.
It's not though, because it's right there.
Look, the little kid area is right there.
I think this is gonna be the little kid area.
Right, but he said they're not getting rid of that.
Okay, see the top corner?
Help me
Where
out.
the little kid area is, keep going, yeah,
Like
yes,
right
right
over
there.
Yeah. That'll stay. That'll just be, why that's a nice spot is because you do have an easy access for parents to access that with their kids. And that's why and there are some benches going in here as well that will add on to this where people can face that or face opposite.
Jim, I know you must have overlooked it, but I don't see where the big screen TVs were gonna be for the dads for football season.
On Saturdays and
Yeah,
Sundays, right? Yeah.
We gotta have TV for football season.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You're right, let's revisit that, Ron.
If Jim doesn't get the contract this month, we'll add it next month when we bring it back for the third time.
Then you gotta include the NFL package.
It'll be November, we'll have actually like lounge chairs, everything, and it'll be good.
Jim, I'm wildly in favor of this, but I'm just curious what led to the delays, and did we incur any more costs because of that delay?
No, what led to the delay was that you guys approved like a budget number without any real, we hadn't done the playground equipment yet. And so by the time middle of June comes around, you get it, it goes back and forth, it was July. So no, the budget's the same that you approved back in the day.
If there are no other questions for Jim, is there a motion to approve the budget ordinance amendment and capital authorization for the Harrisburg Park Stormwater and Playground Expansion Project for $285,000? So
Motion.
moved. Oh,
Go ahead.
we got a first and a second? Yep.
First, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you all for your support tonight, we threw a lot at you, so.
Appreciate it. Action items, we already got one completed because Lee has already sent out the calendar invite for the September project meeting on the sidewalk. Follow up on the Harmony shrub, Wasack.
Yeah, we're gonna look at
Okay.
the Wasack restoration. I had, one from me is that we had sent out 4 dates. We're looking for the, council kickoff for our comp plan. And so, as you all know, you're all very busy people, and it is very hard to coordinate a date. All 4 of those dates so far look like they're not going to sync up. So we're going to add a 5th date and send it out again, but that 5th date will be 1 hour prior to the September council meeting. So it's probably about a 40-minute meeting. I know where you're all going to be at 6 on that day, so I'm hoping at 5 that we can make that work. So we'll resend that out and check with everybody on September, and then we'll look at those dates again and try to organize that. Really, the rest of the planned calendar relies on us being able to set that date. Okay. Once I set that date, we have a packet of dates that look out through next May, because we're really trying to make sure all of these different dates coordinate with each other. We've got our budget, we've got a comp plan, we have a town center overlay district. We would like to start adding some of these other sort of workshop dates in here. So critically important to just look at that when we send it to you and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. We do have a need for closed session this evening to discuss a personnel matter, so we will need a motion to move from regular session into closed session. For those that are in the audience, there is no more business after the closed session. So we will go into closed session, then we come out and we adjourn. That is all that is happening. So is there a motion to move from regular session into closed session?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you.